Hello and welcome to Mugello. Oh, what a place it is. The Autodromo Internazionale del Mugello, and it's an Italian starting from pole, and there's a compatriot alongside him, Andrew ZH, Trastevere and Adrian. Your front row of the grid, and a blockbuster one it is too.
Yeah, it certainly is, and the second row of the grid is looking quite spicy as well. Piero Ricciuti on 4th place. Jack Hammer in 5th. He was very good in the first race. Watch out for him. Riccardo Bottaro, much better performance from him this time round for qualifying.
On to the third row of the grid where you'll find Williams Christian. He's got race-winning pedigree, so don't be surprised if you see a charge through the field from him. Dark Bright on board the Tech 2 KTM, and our Indonesian competitor Sancho Quinn on the Petronas Yamaha.
Mr. TFTW is in 10th place, and on the back of the grid it is Juan NH, who had connection problems in qualifying. Watch out for him. Well, you do know he's a good starter, so he's going to be coming through on the first lap.
But for the second time in 2021, it's the Ducati of Andrew ZH. He'll start from pole position. Can he get the whole shot this time around? It's lights out in Mugello, and we're underway for the second time in 2021, and it's another poor start from Andrew ZH. The two previous champions, Trastevere and Adrian, both sweep around him, and even Piero Ricciuti from the second row of the grid is having a good look. What a start that is from Williams Christian though. Row 3 of the grid, he's up into 4th, but it's Trastevere that leads the way on the opening lap here in Mugello.
How did Williams Christian pull that off? What an absolute rocket launch of a start, as there's bumping and barging all over the place in the background. I think that was Jack Hammer getting his Jack Hammer out and swinging it about all over the place. So anyway, it seems as though Christian is going to battle, drop it over the nose, Piero Ricciuti, but Piero Ricciuti, as we do know, the wild child ain't having any of it. He nicks up into 4th place then, and he's going to go chase after the top 3.
You just knew that Piero Ricciuti was going to stick Williams Christian on the grass into the gravel. He was giving him no room whatsoever there. As again, it's sort of, concertina's up, and who's that that's gone down? It's Riccardo Bottaro, the Italian, making his home debut here on the Pramac machine. That was just unfortunate. It was the domino effect, all just concertinaing up, and unfortunately he was the man that went down as a result. But back at the front though, it's Trastevere from Adrian, from Andrew ZH. There's not so much argy-bargy going on in this one. Well, not yet anyway, with Trastevere running wide through as we go into the final sector here for the very first time. Adrian is right on his tail though, as is Andrew ZH, of course, still seething after that mistake in Portimao that saw him throw away any chance of fighting for a podium finish.
Yeah, and you say mistakes. He made one at Corintaio, went a little bit wide, but managed to pull it back for a second apex. And then once again, he's done the exact same thing, coming through the penultimate corner at Buccini. So, Trastevere then leads across the line for the first lap. We look at Piero Ricciuti with that esteemed riding style, as we said in the first race, and Williams Christian much more, well, laser focused in, and it's the laser focus that takes it. Williams Christian then up into 4th, and it's a little bit of a better showing from him this time round, as he's up there in the early laps, so promising for the Suzuki boy.
Beautiful move that from Williams Christian, got it all lined up perfectly through Buccini, got the run down the start-finish straight, and then just moved across and up the inside into San Donato. Perfect Mugello move from Williams Christian that gets him up into 4th place. Brother Adrian wasn't close enough to try the same on Trastevere as we went down the start-finish straight for the very first time, and Adrian, God, he's running his luck there, up on the curb, even touching the grass on the inside. As we mentioned in the opening race, the MotoGP 21 game this year is not very forgiving on the curves, and as a result he's really taking some risks there. Meanwhile, further back down the field, I think Jack Hammer may well have had a few problems himself, which saw him languishing down in 10th, now ahead of Mr. TFTW and trying to make his way back through the field. But that's not where we'd expect to see him, especially after his showing on the opening couple of laps in Portimao.
Yeah, it's a shame for Jack Hammer, but certainly I'm sure that as we go forward in this Global Series, he's going to be one that is right up there battling for podium places and possibly even a victory, because he's looked fantastic. He's looked so fast at the start of this Global Series. So yeah, to see him down in 9th or early on this one in Mugello is a shame, but anyway, there's a long way ahead of him in his rookie season. Anyway, back to the front as they come across the stripe for lap 2. Trastevere still leads, and it seems as though Adrian isn't bothering with the slipstream. No point at all at this stage. There's no way he can win it at the end of lap 3. So Trastevere leads by half a second from Adrian, and another half a second back to Andrew ZH.
Just interesting seeing the difference in lines that Trastevere and Adrian are taking. Certainly through the final corner, Buccini, you saw Trastevere was a lot wider, really sort of building up to get a good run down the start-finish straight, whereas Adrian was sort of more hugging the curb up to the left-hand side. if he can get close enough, there's certainly room for Adrian to maybe squeeze through. It'll take some move to get up the inside of Trastevere, but he's certainly leaving the door open. That's maybe something to keep our eye on as this race progresses. Andrew ZH, as we focus in on him, just looks as though he's unable to go with Trastevere and Adrian at the moment. He's, what, about a second adrift of the rear wheel of Adrian here. I'm sure he would have been hoping, especially having set that blistering lap in qualifying, to be able to have the race pace to go with them. But at the moment, it looks as though both Trastevere and Adrian are just starting to edge clear of the Ducati man.
Yeah, it's kind of been the tale of MotoGP eSport ever since Andrew ZH won his 2019 Global Series. He's not really rekindled that magic pace that kind of saw him pull away from everyone in 2019. He's just been that fraction of a second off from the top two guys, particularly Trastevere and Adrian 26. So let's hope that Andrew ZH can claw himself back into the top two fight here, because I know we'd all like to see a Ducati win in Mugello. It's just, well, it's meant to be, isn't it?
Well, we've already seen one Yamaha win in Mugello in 2021 thanks to Fabio Quartararo. Are we on course for an M1 double around Mugello? Trastevere still leading away, a long way to go in this one though. Lap 3 now completed, on to lap 4 of 10, and it's still Trastevere that leads the way from Adrian and Andrew ZH. Further down the field, just keeping an eye on Piero Ricciuti. He's there in 5th. Juan H from the back of the grid, as we mentioned, a few connection issues, as we saw in race 1 during qualifying, which saw him start from the back of the grid, but made good progress there up to 6th. Had a Sancho Queen. Ricardo Bottaro, of course, had a crash on the opening lap, as did Jack Hammer as well, with Mr. TFTW and Dark Bright bringing up the rear of the field. Back at the front, though, and it's still Trastevere leading the way.
Yeah, a little bit of a chess match out front. So while it's a bit of a chess match and there's kind of a stalemate between the two, just as you mentioned, Juan H there, through to 6th from the back of the grid. It's something we saw him do a lot last year on the Red Bull KTM, the Tech-Free machine. Come through from 9th, 10th on the grid, and I think he even nicked a few podiums, didn't he, last year? So certainly Juan H, he's a racer. He's not really a qualifier, he's definitely a racer, so watch out for him trying to nick 5th off Piero Ricciuti in the next lap or so as well. No,
he's got a number of podiums to his name. 3 as Juan H. He's been a mainstay of the Global Series. 3 podiums to his name. 2 second place finishes and 1 second that he was able to take last year as well. He was really starting to make improvements. In 2019 he got that memorable podium in the Global Series arena, riding for KTM at the Red Bull Ring, a perfect coupling for him, and he was delighted with that one. I can still vividly remember him cheering, screaming, absolutely thrilled with himself to have picked up a podium place. And he did the same last year as well, 2 podiums, moving in the right direction once again. But this year it just looks as though the level has gone on once again. A couple of rookies have come in and made this field as strong as it's ever been. Jack Hammer, Piero Ricciuti, all able to challenge for the podium on their day, as we've seen in the opening race. Piero Ricciuti, of course, taking 3rd, and then Jack Hammer, who unfortunately missed out. This is a replay of the start, and this is almost where the race victory went in an instant for Andrew ZH. With things as competitive as they are, he just didn't get the jump from pole position, and with Trastevere and Adrian managing to get the way in front of him, he tried his best to edge in front of Adrian, but no way through there, and that's all she wrote really so far. We'll be hoping for a few mistakes as the pace and the tyres start to drop off. You can see the bumping and the barging behind. There's no P's and Q's from those guys back there, but you can just see it was almost instantly. He just missed the jump.
Yeah, he did, and it's kind of weird. A Ducati not getting the whole shot in MotoGP in 2021. What's going on? So anyway, it seems that, yeah, whether Andrew ZH was just a little bit of wheel spin off the line or his reactions weren't quite there. Anyway, that is the crucial moment in MotoGP eSport. The start means so much. Just look to the back, the Suzuki, LCL Honda, the Yahoo Pramac bike, and also Jack Hammer on the factory KTM, all bumping and barging, even the Aprilia Juan H. So that's how Juan H got through then. Whoa, wow. So that's what happened to Jack Hammer.
Yeah, wow.
Not too sure what happened there, but obviously the bike went into orbit. Anyway, these two, they are not into orbit, certainly. They are firmly on the ground. Great traction, grip, braking stability, throttle, everything from these boys. They know what they're doing out front, and well, that gap, I mean, has it changed by even a thousandth? I don't know.
No, it's been constant, hasn't it? The pair of them just so precise, so accurate, no mistakes from either of them so far, which means that things have stayed as they are pretty much from lap 1 onwards. Meanwhile, further back LLP. You can see next to the name of Mr. TFTW. That's a new one for 2021. Of course, LLP standing for long lap penalty for the Australian. He'll have been given that one either for exceeding track limits 5 times or causing an incident with another rider. So he'll have to take that one within 3 laps. As we can see, tyre performance. And for both Trastevere and Adrian, Jack, the rear, certainly on their right-hand side, is just starting to drop away.
Yeah, as we know, Mugello is it's a place where tyre wear is quite high. It's very fast everywhere. There's lots of force being pushed into the tyres. As we come up here for Arabiata 1 and 2, it's, you know, it's got that positive camber, so it really forces the tyres in. The guys give it a hard time as they kind of spin it up on the exit. You see Trastevere there getting sideways. But also, when we were just on that graphic, you may have noticed it shows you the throttle and also braking pressure of our guys, and they use the rear brake a lot. And it's one of the keys in this game in MotoGP 21. If you want to go faster, you need to start using that rear brake.
Here is Andrew ZH, still holding on to 3rd place at the moment. He's not really been able to chip away at Adrian. It looks as though the podium is his, though, although Williams Christian, I'm sure, is looking to apply some pressure and pick himself up a first podium of 2021. Of course, Williams Christian, another of the stalwarts of the MotoGP eSport Championship. Never won a championship, as we see Mr. TFTW taking the long lap penalty. And I tell you what, that's harder than it looks.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It certainly is harder than it looks. And that was very Zarco-esque from Brno in 2020. Absolutely nailed it all the way out to the white line and back across. So, yeah, Mr. T, certainly precision is the name of the game in this sport, and he's got it all to the max there.
We'll talk about Williams Christian there. 3 victories to his name, a further 8 podium finishes. So he is a man that can compete right at the sharp end week in, week out with Suzuki for another year. Is the brother of our world champion on screen right now, Adrian, who, of course, will not be wanting to see Trastevere win this race, because that will mean that the pair tied at the moment, as we mentioned in race 1, with 8 victories apiece throughout the history of the MotoGP eSport Championship. A further victory for Trastevere will see him move clear and reclaim that mantle, that tag of being the GOAT.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a boxing match, this, isn't it? 2 big heavyweights just slugging it out, both of them just throwing big punches all season long. And Trastevere, well, if he does manage to take this victory, as though, well, to be honest, that gap's actually increased, hasn't it? So it looks even more likely now that Trastevere has this under control. If he does, as you say, Jack, he will take that crown back of being the most winningest rider in MotoGP eSport. So certainly there'll be lots to cheer about for the Italian at the end of this one if he can. But as that gap's increased, the gap behind from Andrew ZH to Adrian has certainly decreased. So Adrian, whether he's just starting to fall off the pace a little bit, as we do now turn back to Andrew ZH, whether Adrian's fallen off the pace a little bit or Andrew ZH has picked it up, it's going to be, well, Adrian's going to have to be careful in the last few laps. He does not want to lose any more points to Trastevere.
As they come across the line now to complete lap number 7. 3 remaining here in Mugello, and it's looking like it's going to be going Trastevere's way. Adrian holding on to 2nd at the moment, which means after the opening round of the Global Series, we'll have it all tied up at the top. 45 points apiece as things stand between Trastevere and Adrian. But of course, with 3 further rounds to come, including the final one where double points are on offer, there is a very long way to go in 2020. But I think we can safely say it looks like for a 2nd year in a row it's going to be a toe-to-toe, head-to-head fight between Adrian and Trastevere once again for the MotoGP eSport crown.
Yeah, it does look that way, Jack. They're just the two that, when it comes down to it, they can stay out of trouble, limit those mistakes, the crashes. We're seeing Andrew ZH. He's so fast and he is consistent. I mean, he's running 3rd very strongly here on the exact same pace as Adrian and Trastevere, but he makes those simple, tiny little errors that just catch him out. We saw him tuck the front in race 1, and Adrian and Trastevere just don't seem to do that at the moment. So in a championship where fine margins are everything, that consistency is what has taken these two to the top.
Further down, not much movement throughout the rest of the field. Williams Christian still there in 4th aboard the Suzuki. You might be able to see him in the back of the picture there. No, it looks like he's just tailed off the rear of the Ducati of Andrew ZH. Piero Ricciuti, after finishing 3rd in the opening round, is there in 5th. Another top 5 finish for the Italian. That will see him take a rather impressive championship position after the opening night of eSport action. Juan H there in 6th, and over Indonesia's Sancho Queen, Ricardo Batara, Jack Hammer, Mr. T, and Dark Bright as we come across the line. 2 laps now remaining, and Trastevere, if anything, has just stretched his lead out to a fairly unassailable, you would imagine, gap now. It's his to lose with 2 remaining.
Yeah, he's certainly turned horsepower up or something, because he's just stretched that gap completely. Up to about a second now, I would say. We can't see the timings on our screen, but you see it visually, it certainly has stretched out. And one thing I do want to point out, it is lovely that we do have both Juan H and Ricardo Bottaro still in the race. No connection problems this time round. Hopefully I haven't just jinxed them on the final lap and a half, but it seems as though 2 solid finishes are coming the way for those 2 guys, Juan H in 6th and Ricardo Bottaro in 8th.
Incredible consistency as Trastevere now taking part in 21 MotoGP eSport races, and this will be podium finish number 16. Incredible. 16 podium finishes out of 21 races, and of course this will be victory number 9 as well. That is rather impressive statistics.
Yeah, that's not a bad record. That's a record that even someone like Marc Marquez will be jealous of. So certainly in Trastevere, make no mistake, he is a bit of a superstar when it comes to MotoGP eSport Global Series, and it seems that as he comes round now into the final sector, we come through Biondetti 1 and 2, he has it all but under control. But I tell you what, that's getting closer. Andrew ZH, he's smelling blood for second place here. Adrian, he's got about half a second gap, maybe just a little bit more. So he's certainly going to be a little bit nervous coming into the final lap.
Yep, he's just got 1 lap to hold on as Adrian out front. It looks like it's Trastevere's victory, the first win of 2021, surely going his way. But can Adrian hold off the Ducati? Track limits warning for Jack Hammer further down the field. At the moment, he's not close enough, is Andrew ZH. No way is he going to make a move stick there. He's almost relying on a mistake from Adrian, and he's not looked like making one throughout the previous 9 laps. So I'd be surprised if he makes one on the final 10th one, but who knows? He certainly is closer. Maybe the pressure that Andrew ZH is applying will finally take its toll on the number 26, but the world champion, he's been here, he's done this before, he's been able to hold off last lap charges on a number of occasions.
He certainly has. I refuse to believe that he's going to flinch under this one and blink under the pressure. There's no way, I don't think so, unless Andrew ZH can really produce something special in the final half of this lap. I really don't think that he's going to be able to do it, but you just never know. And these 2 are close. I'll tell you what, now this is close. Piero Ricciuti, he did actually have a track limits warning pop up. I think that was for him. Oh no, sorry, it was for Jack Hammer, but he does have 2 of them already, so no chance of him getting a long lap penalty in this final lap.
And he's gone wide. Makes a mistake. The rear wheel was skywards there as we go through Scarperia for the final time. This is an option. This is an opportunity into Corantaio. He looks to the inside and he squeezes his way through on the grass on the inside, but he gets the job done. Piero Ricciuti, the ultimate opportunist, pounces on one crucial mistake from Williams Christian, and he manages to steal away 4th place from the Spaniard on the final lap. We're into the final corner, Bacchini for the final time, and Williams Christian has a look, and he's managed to get it done. What a move! Surely he was never going to be able to get it done there from a country mile back. The pair are going to be side by side as they come across the line. At the front though, it's victory for the first time this year for Trastevere, who takes 4th. Ricciuti just by the narrowest of margins. What a final sector that was between those 2, fighting it out for 4th place.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff in the final sector. Piero Ricciuti there. Oh, hang on. Have they given it back?
Has he swapped places? Well, maybe it's because of a track limits on the final lap. We'll have to wait for the final results, but on the left-hand side of our screen, it looks like it could well be Williams Christian. We'll clear that up for you very, very shortly. But one thing we do know for certain, this man has taken victory, a career 9th and his first of 2021 that will see him tied at the top of the standings with Adrian. So there's the official results then. Trastevere, Adrian and Andrew ZH on the podium, with Piero Ricciuti just stealing 4th away from Williams Christian, ahead of Juan H, Sancho Queen, Jack Hammer, Ricardo Bottaro, Mr. TFTW and Dark Bright.